She's okay with it?
Here, we got her phone. What else do you need? It's gonna be a big game.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to call the Common Council to order. I will ask the clerk to call the roll to determine a quorum.
Alderperson May.
Here.
Probst.
Here.
Reinke.
Here.
Rote.
Here.
Sengstad.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Barzak.
Here.
Chaplesky.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
10 present, none excused.
We have a quorum. Alderman May is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I ask that after the pledge we pause for a moment of silence for the victims of the tragedy in Connecticut.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have 4 items for public hearing this evening. I'll ask the clerk to read item number 1.
A hearing on the special use permit for a proposed restaurant to be located within the Renaissance Fair office building located at 801 South 60th Street.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're delighted to have a proposal for a restaurant in the Renaissance Fair development area, which is the old Sam's Club on South 60th Street, the old Alice Chalmers Complex. Actually, it was this building is where they made the casings for the atom bomb during World War II. But fortunately, the property has been redeveloped. The ground floor of Sam's Club was about 100,000 square feet, and because it was built during World War II, only wood was used in the construction of it. So at night, you can just see this gorgeous wood timbers. They've also added a second floor, so now it's going to be about 190,000 square feet. Channel 58, their offices are in the middle of the building, in this area here, and that's about in an area of about 180,000 square feet. So we're going to substantially increase the capacity of that area, and also provide to attract more tenants that would be able to support a restaurant. This is the Channel 58 area. This is the old Sam's Club area up here. So it's right about in the middle of the building. So it's going to be about 3,200 square feet. The exact tenant has not yet been identified. They need to get the zoning entitlements before they can bring in a restaurateur. So we're really looking forward to that. The parking requirement of about 197,000 parking spaces, 106,000 are provided. Fortunately, we're also looking at some other issues that may help resolve the parking even more. The Plan Commission has reviewed this recommendation to allow for the special use for this property and has recommended approval. And if you have any additional questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there any questions or comments from the council on this item? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the audience on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 1. And we are going to take public hearing number 2 and number 3 together. Madam Clerk.
A hearing on the special use permit for a proposed auto accessory store, Superior Accessories, to be located at 729 South 84th Street, and a hearing on the special use permit for a proposed auto accessory store, Superior Window Tinting of Milwaukee, to be located at 723 South 84th Street.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The auto accessory store and the window tinting are garages essentially in that category of vehicle repair, which requires special use for them to be located in this area. And that's the purpose of the public hearing today. This property is located right across from State Fair. And we've had auto repair facilities in those facilities, But in these two different locations, well, this one was an auto repair that we approved in 2009, but it's been vacant. It has no longer used as an auto repair for over a year, and therefore lost their special use. And the other area here, Superior Accessories, I think they used to sell hot tubs and stuff like that in that, so they never had one in there before. And as a result, we're going to need to have a special use to approve both of those uses. It's Zone C2, which allows these uses as a special use, and that's the purpose of the public hearing tonight. There's also apartments above both of these, which makes them a mixed use, which also requires a special use. Hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. 41 parking spaces would be required as these uses, but because of his historical nature, only 21 are provided. Also, in the resolution to approve this, the Common Council will be prohibiting any off-site uses of the street parking for these auto facilities. So they have to have all their used or repaired vehicles on site at all times. The Plan Commission has reviewed this recommendation and has recommended approval. If you have additional questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there questions or comments from the council on items 2 or 3? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the audience on items 2 or 3? Okay, seeing none, we will close item 2 and item 3, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 4.
A hearing on the resolution relative to approving an amendment to the Community Development Block Grant Program for fiscal year 2012 for the creation of a downtown West Dallas public amenity project.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the request of the Business Improvement District, they've asked to provide some additional waste paper baskets in the downtown area and to provide some parking for bicycle parking in the downtown area. And we're glad to accommodate that request through the Community Development Block Grant Contingency Fund. If you have additional questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Do we have any questions from the council on this item? Seeing none, do we have any questions or comments from the audience on this item? Okay, we'll close public hearing number 4, and we will move on to item E on your agendas, citizen participation. It's an opportunity for residents to address the council on matters of interest to them. We ask that you keep your comments to approximately 5 minutes. Is there anybody that wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening? If you could state your name and address for the record and sign in either before or after your comments.
Already signed in. Michael Mangan, 2304 South 62nd Street. I would like to introduce a concept which I call community composting. Having grown up in a farming community, it always amazes me how much of the leaf collection in the city of West Dallas gets taken away from our local backyard gardens and farms, and the cost that the city has to incur to move those leaves every fall. First of all, I think the best use for leaves is basically in your garden, and I'd like to see the city encourage community composting in their backyard garden, because a 55-gallon drum of leaves can be compacted, and by spring you've got fresh, you've got mulch for growing crops and gardens, and basically it makes sense to use what you've got rather than transporting it. But if the city has to transport it, I've noticed something that when I walk along the Kinnickinnic River Parkway, I get a chance to see what the city of Milwaukee does versus the city of West Dallas. And West Dallas has 3 vehicles and 3 people. They have a dump truck, a front end loader, and a little, whatever you call it, a sweeping vehicle. City of Milwaukee uses 2 vehicles. They use a garbage truck with a ramp, and then they have all these small little sweet, I don't know what you call them, street sweepers or whatever that collect and it is a very, very efficient operation, because it's got 2 drivers and 2 vehicles, where West Dallas is using a front end loader. And I can't imagine what it costs of a front end loader per hour, but it's got to be $75 an hour to lift basically virtually air to put it in a dump truck, to bring it to someplace and transport it. I have no idea what it costs the city as far as fuel, maintenance cost, or staff, but it's got to be expensive. So what I'd like to suggest that the city look into is what's working with Milwaukee is partially working. Having talked to the Milwaukee garbage truck drivers, basically they've got the right equipment, but they just don't have the staff worked out. What they're doing is basically not collecting the leaves and sorting them and getting them, on piles at night, and then having the garbage trucks come by in the morning and fill them up and move. The garbage truck drivers are sitting there in the morning waiting for the guys to be moving the leaves around, and that, they told me, was basically because their staff doesn't want overtime. Well, if you pay someone at night for 12 hours and you pay them, $100 to save $200 in idling vehicles and idling time, it's a good use of staff. So I'd like to encourage the city of West Allis to at least look into what a ramp or two costs for an existing garbage truck, but also make sure that you get these drivers, collecting leaves and pushing leaves to the end of streets all night long, so that when the garbage trucks do come in the morning, let's say a garbage truck needs 10 or 20 loads to fill itself up. There's no sense in having a driver sitting there waiting for the leaves to be collected. Do that at night. Do that with whatever it takes to get it done, and then have the efficient operation of staff as well as the equipment. So those are my points. First of all, compost leaves where they're falling. Encourage people not to collect them, because it costs taxes to collect something that is actually a resource. It's a very valuable nutrient resource. Composted leaves help gardeners grow plants and saves money on, local community gardens should be the priority, and if you got to collect them, do it the right way. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else under citizen participation this evening?
My name's Ernest J. Pagels Jr. I live at 1703 South 115th Court, apartment number 6, West Allis, Wisconsin. I was going to ask, when they had floods back in 2011 and the Milwaukee County Sewers District, I've been at these two, this is the third common council meeting I've been at, and I don't know if the Milwaukee County Sewer District is giving each municipality for their backed up sewer treatment plant, each person or each resident $4,000. I don't know all the deal on that, but I was going to say if the Milwaukee County Sewer District is giving everybody who owns a house in Milwaukee County $4,000 to pay for the repairs to the backup of their sewer thing, I think the mayors of the Milwaukee County municipality should get together and get that $4,000 back to the Milwaukee County Sewer District, and they should use that money to build a bigger sewer treatment plant, and also they should modify or make a larger deep tunnel project. And the people in these municipalities should get homeowners insurance to pay for these, and they should get homeowners insurance with flood insurance. And if these insurance companies, when this happens, doesn't want to pay out for flood insurance when these major floods happen, the mayors of the municipalities of Milwaukee County should get together with J.B. Van Halen and the Insurance Commissioner of Wisconsin and force these insurance agencies to pay out their money. I agree with making money and insurance. Businesses making money. I'm a Republican and I'm for jobs and making money. But when an insurance company doesn't want to pay out their money, the insurance commissioner and the attorney general should, and the municipalities and the mayor should, and the or the aldermen should get with the attorney general and file a lawsuit, a federal, state, get the attorney general to force these insurance companies to pay out their money. And also, I was going to say another issue is I moved here in October 1st, and ever since I've been in October 1st of 2011, and I've been in the municipality. Well, this is going on the third month. And the West Allis Police Department, they're so reckless in their driving. And I know I've been here to 2 meetings, and I've seen the common council say that they don't want to tell the police department how to do their job. Well, somebody should be telling them how to do their job, because they're reckless drivers. On Saturday at 9 p.m., I was going on Greenfield Avenue towards Highway 100. There was a red light. There was a West Allis police car coming from behind me, put on his blinker, went around, went in the, and there's still not barriers up, but there's still barrels up, and a West Allis Police Department vehicle, a patrol vehicle, turned in the left lane, and it was coming up from behind me. There was 2 cars in front of me, or actually about 3 cars in front of me. The green light came on. The car started to proceed. This West Allis Police Department vehicle took a blinker, turned around, and went in front of the person who was going to go straight eastbound on Greenfield, crossing Highway 100. It put on its blinker and cut right in front of the person. And after I seen it, I went to the West Allis Police Department and filed a complaint. And Captain Brian Mason called me back, and he said he was giving excuses for this police officer doing reckless driving. And like I said, I've been here for 3 months. I live at 115th Court, and I take Greenfield Avenue is still under construction right now, and when I would go from 115th Court to the downtown area of West Allis, I would take 116th to Lincoln Avenue, take a left, and I would come out going eastbound on Lincoln Avenue, and I've seen 2 times that West Allis Police Department vehicles, squad cars, cutting off people, speeding, and without their emergency lights and not using their blinkers. And I think police officers should lead by good example. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the council under citizen participation?
You want to pass these down? I'm giving Alderman Weigel some pictures if you want to look at them. It's what I'm talking about. You can make reference to them. Bob Brown, I had the Stop the Violence organization. It's located in the city of Milwaukee and the Christian Civil Liberties Union. I want to thank the mayor for the good job he's done in putting up the manger scene. Wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I spent, 2-3 years here fighting with the past mayor, almost. We had the police out here and whatnot. She refused to put up a replica of Jesus out there in the manger. Matter of fact, she didn't want to put that up. So anyway, I want to thank the current people who are responsible. At least I'm glad to see that. That's the good news, not the bad news. I just want to quickly talk about, he's talking about the police. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care if they speed or what they do. As long as they don't hit anybody or whatever, I don't care. But I'm going to talk about police here anyway. City of Milwaukee, I'm involved at my organization representing a lot of people that get charges. And, lately this clown guy, you can look at it on YouTube, was demonstrating for the recall of Flynn, Firearm, and the mayor, Milwaukee mayor. He got, if you look at YouTube, it says police beat up clown. It shows him getting beat to a pulp. He gets punched about a dozen times in the face and head. If you look at the whole video in slow motion, he's actually standing still. But I seen the criminal complaint, and it looks like he's making fists to fight, he's moving and everything else. When you look at the video, it shows none of that happened. But that's the way police reports go. And I'm bringing something locally to West Allis up here that has to do with the police too, because I'm involved in this. This is what I do. I can't help it. And I know Alderman Weigel is shifting his feet a little, or himself. He looks a little nervous because I'll be talking about him and what he shouldn't be doing. Most of you know the case about the squirrel people. Feeding squirrels started a $50 fine, and it escalated to thousands of dollars fine. It's certainly going to head for jury trials the first 3 weeks, I think, in April. The first, it's all 5 days going to be jury trials with these 2 people. It's costing the city thousands of dollars. The lawsuit is going forward. That's got delayed. But sooner or later it'll be heard. I know the people are trying to get it heard after the municipal ticket, which was issued 3 years ago. the city attorney here keeps stalling. They don't want it to be known that, what's going on with the lawsuit. Now, let's get to what's going on with the squirrel people. Lately, it's escalated and involved more police. That's why I brought this up. What's happening is somebody across the street from these people that actually dare to feed birds and squirrel on their own property. The guys across the street are shooting squirrels with a gun. It's probably a pellet gun. I seen the squirrels laying there with holes in them. I know Alfred Weigel spends a lot of time with these people across the street. He was over there the other day visiting, chatting with them. I know he drives his vehicle without lights down the street and all the other things. I'm not going to waste your time with how he spends his time and what he does. But I know he spends a great deal of time by these people's houses. For instance, I'm going to be wrapping this up here. Here we go again. They're calling about the fact that the guy that feeds the squirrels is accused of throwing a dead squirrel on the other side of the street. All these dead squirrels are shot and thrown in front of his house, right by his pond. So they end up on the other side of the street where they came from. And nothing is done about the people shooting the squirrels. I talked to the DNR. He said, well, there's a bag limit of 5 squirrels on your own private property. The police don't seem to care. I've called in and complained. People who get agitated for feeding the birds and squirrels have called in. Now, what happened just yesterday or the day before, they came over by his house, and apparently the people complained about him. They always complain. Even when he lights his grill, they call the fire department, the hook and ladders and whatnot. Well, this time they said his car's too far from the curb. And they measured it was 13 1/4 inches, so he got a ticket. So he goes and calls the police department. There's one squad car there. There's a car right down the street parked 17 inches. The police come, they give them a warning, put it on the car and drive away. So they call me up, I go down there, because there's another car, same block, 20-some inches from the curb. So what happens, I call the police. Waited a half hour, I started to drive away, I seen him coming, I pulled up. He gets behind there, I walk over. Took me a while to park, I was watching him. Finally, I get out of my car and walk over, and he asked me what I'm doing. I said, I'm observing.
Mr. Brown, you have 1 minute remaining.
He asked if I owned the car. He ended up calling the police for backup. 5 squad cars arrived. 5 squad cars. Then he do nothing. They thought I was the guy that feeds the squirrels. When they seen who I was, they left. 5 squad cars there. 3 earlier, total of 8 squad cars there. In the past, when he feeds the squirrels, the police chief, that's not the current ones, it was Youngblood, came with his mob of officers, 4 or 5 cops, surround the neighborhood and the house. We got tons of cops for this. It seems a shame, the waste of money. I don't want to spend, but I would like to just quickly respond to gun shooting here with all this talk of why don't they allow the principals to have a gun there? All this, ban the gun stuff. The people doing the shootings are mentally ill. That's all the problem is. But that's okay with the schools. Leave the mentally ill kids, do nothing about it. And that's why you have these shootings. You can take away all the guns. The guy that just killed all these people, he got them from his mother. He didn't have illegal guns. They're registered. But anyway, I know nothing will ever get done because government officials don't normally listen. So anyway, once again, Merry Christmas to you. And I hate to be bringing this stuff up, but it does take a lot of my time running down. We filed a complaint to the Police and Fire Commission with this clown guy. And all this time I got to spend, I'm supposed to be retired, I'm 77. I spent my whole life chasing around police departments and stuff. Can I get the pictures back here? I passed them around. It shows 5 officers.
Bob, they're on the end.
Bob over here. Late at night, apparently with nothing to do but come investigate what I'm doing.
Thanks for your comments, Mr. Brown. Is there anybody else that wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening? Okay, we will close citizen participation and move on to item F on your agendas. Our standing committees will meet during recess. The room numbers are on page 2. Move on to item G, miscellaneous business. The mayor's report. I just want to remind everybody that CAD, the Community Alliance Against Drugs, is once again doing their New Year's Eve event at West Allis Central. It is a drug and alcohol-free family event where they have the pool open and movies and inflatable rides in the gym and a balloon drop. I don't think they keep the little ones up till midnight, but it's about as late as we can keep them. I believe there's details on the city website, but if not, you can get that from crime prevention at the West Isles Police Department. And I also want to give a shout-out to one of our inconspicuous employees who sits in the back row all the time. This is going to be his last Common Council meeting after how many years? Almost 30 years with the city of West Allis. He's known as Harmo. His official name is Tom Harmatis. I just want to take a moment to informally thank him for his service to the city over all these years and wish him the best in his retirement. We won't ask him for a speech. Yeah. Those guys don't do that. How about a secret handshake? That concludes the mayor's report. Are there any alderperson's comments this evening?
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Weigel.
I would just like to thank you and Director of Development, John Stiebel. We had a little tour on Sunday morning. The Youth Commission, which is made up of high school kids from Hale and Central. The Youth Commission does various service-related projects, but they're working on a project this year that is a little more interesting than what's happened in the past. They're trying to take a closer look at our community and the problems and prospects that it provides. So we actually toured around the city Sunday morning for about 2.5, 3 hours. And again, Mr. Stiebel, John came along and gave a very enlightening discussion, led a discussion on the development issues that were going on in the community. And they don't get a lot of press, and it's a little bit of a complex issue. And certainly at the high school level, the kids don't get a lot of exposure to it. So it was a good thing to have that along. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman.
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Probst and then Vitale.
Ladies first? Or?
Oh, okay.
All right. I'll let the lady first.
I just would like to announce that Alderman Weigel and I have our next listening session on January 3rd in the Constitution Room. And for those of you unable to make it to the library, we will hold the February meeting here at City Hall in room 128.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Vitale.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'd like to touch some bases based on what really occurred this last weekend, which was Friday. You know, what really happened, at that point, I felt really, I had tears in my eyes. You know, the Second Amendment back in 1776, at that time, life in this country was different. People traveled from one region, one state to another state, was all wilderness, was totally wilderness. People used to commute on buggy and horses, so it was at different times. And the question is, in this country today, there is more guns than what the population is today. There's more guns. Some of the lobbyists, I heard one of them, he said that, well, maybe we should arm the teachers. The teachers should carry a gun in classes. That's what I heard him say on TV. That's totally a shame, really, to talk like that. I said it before when it happened in the Oak Creek communities, what really happened this summer. I said that now. In a civilized world, in any country, if you take statistics and numbers, on a daily basis in this country, every hour, 3 people get killed by a gunshot wound. Every hour, 3 people gets killed. Why? They said that, well, the guns don't kill people. I understand that. People, that's the one who pulled the triggers. But the fact stands that we have so many guns in this country that the NRA, they have so much influence with their politicians in Washington and state just as well. I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with the guns. I mean, if people want to have a gun, it's fine. But there's no reason that people have to have thousands and thousands of ammunitions in a house. In a civilized world, who's going to attacking you in your house, really? Who's going to come to your house and kill you? I mean, are we to the point in a civilized world what really happens right now? I mean, that's a shameful. that the gun production people that lobbied and paid the senators in Washington and people that keep pushing, and now all of a sudden, well, maybe we have to do something about it. Well, because 20 children got killed. They took their life away. Crazy maniacs. You know, I'm telling you, if you're a maniac, once you know the sirens are coming, well, he knew that he was doing wrong. I don't care what a psychologist, anybody says. Then he turned the gun on himself and he killed himself. So he knew in somewhat what he'd done. You got to be crazy. Of course you have to be crazy. But that's very sad. You know, I'm telling you, in the world, you know, here, any disastrous and tragedy what really has been occurring in this year alone. 4 times already, more than 4 times already has been happens. People using a gun. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Do we have any other alderperson's comments this evening?
Mayor Devine.
Wow, you're jumpy.
Wow.
Are you continuing the ladies first?
Ladies first.
Okay,
Sorry.
Alderman Reinke.
Did you want to go?
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. On behalf of the Celebrations Committee, I can't thank you enough, you people that contributed to the Veterans Giving Tree Project. It was overwhelming and so heartwarming that the community came together for these veterans on the 9th floor that don't have a family. We purchased gifts. I should say the community purchased the gifts. If you purchased a gift or if you gave money for the coupon books that we spend money for, I thank you. I thank you a million times over. The veterans will be so very happy on Christmas Eve when the therapists hand out their presents. And this project is so successful, and I'm so pleased that the city of West Allis responded the way they have. The committee wrapped the gifts on Friday. It only took about an hour and a half, and then on Sunday, while the Youth Commission was touring West Allis, we were taking the gifts for the veterans to the VA. So I can't thank you enough for responding the way you have for this project, and you in your hearts can be very, very happy that you have served these veterans so well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alderman May.
Thank you, Mayor Devine. First of all, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody. And on that note, just in time for Christmas, we received an email this morning indicating that pre-construction work on Greenfield Avenue from 97th to 106th Street has begun. And unfortunately, with the project from 106th to 124th has yet to be completed by the state. The bridge will be coming down on Greenfield Avenue over 894 on January 28th, 2012. It's going to take a lot of patience from our residents. 2013. I'm sorry, 2013. What year is it? 2013. I encourage you, please, not only to drive safe, but do what you can to go out of your way and visit these businesses and keep them alive during this construction project. Thank you, and again, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other alderpersons' comments this evening?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
Ms. Clerk, are there any additions or corrections to tonight's agenda?
There are no changes.
Hearing that, I move for approval of the agenda as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion with a second by Alderman Probst. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of the Common Council regular meeting of December 4th, 2012.
Second.
We have a motion with a second by Alderman May. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item J on your agenda is items not referred to committee. I'll ask for a motion to place item 5 on file and refer 6 and 7 to the city attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Probst, second by Alderman Weigel. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item K, standing committee reports. Administration and Finance Committee, Alderman Sangstock.
We have two items this evening. The first is number 8. This is the West Dallas Firefighters Local 10004 communication regarding opening of contract negotiations. The position of the committee was to, by unanimous vote, was to place this item on file. Mayor Devine, I so move.
Second.
Is that Alderman Vitale with the second?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, motion by Alderman Sangstock, second by Alderman Vitale. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The second and final item is portion of the meeting this evening is a communication from the transition team relative to implementation of Wisconsin Act 10, 2011 Budget Repair Bill and Wisconsin Act 32, 2011 to 13 Biennial Budget Bill. The recommendation of the committee is to approve as amended with a vote of those in the affirmative for this, with Alderman Lysick, Probst, Sangstock, and Vitale, and Alderman May having lodged a no vote. But with having said that, Mayor Devine, I move in accordance with the committee's recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman Vitale again. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman May.
Before I begin, everyone should have received in their email today an email from a resident who attended the Administration and Finance meeting that was held last week, Monday, stating his dismay with the decision to go to double time after 12 hours of work. So I just wanted to make sure I pass out a copy, and Monica, I provided a copy for the file as well. And Mayor Devine, esteemed colleagues of the Common Council, and fellow taxpayers, the Administration and Finance Committee has discussed at great length a number of issues regarding the transition team's recommendation relative to the implementation of Act 10 and Act 32. The team should be commended for its efforts in providing recommendations that bring non-represented employees into one common set of guidelines, and the team should be commended for enduring 3 very long meetings with heavy debate among the 5 members of the Administration and Finance Committee. There's one issue that passed committee and sits before us today as part of the item under consideration for which I am opposed. The issue at hand, and the issue that drove me to vote in committee against the item before us, is whether we should follow the prevailing federal and regional wage standards of 1.5 time overtime, or whether we should expand benefits for all non-represented employees to include an additional half-time overtime pay premium for work performed in excess of 12 hours. In August of 2012, the transition team came to us with a specific recommendation on this issue. The recommendation from the team was to continue providing double time pay for Sundays and holidays, and to provide time and a half pay for all other hours worked. It was a wise and well thought out recommendation, and I supported that recommendation. To my dismay, rather than follow the wise and well thought out recommendation of the transition team, several members of the Administration and Finance Committee, myself and Alderman Vitale being the exceptions, insisted that the Council go against the recommendation sent to us and instead expand benefits to all non-represented employees with an additional half-time overtime pay premium for hours worked in excess of 12 hours. The reasons given by my peers in favor of the half-time overtime premium were: 1, we must keep with the status quo and provide this half-time overtime pay premium for DPW employees. 2, service will suffer if we don't provide this half-time overtime pay premium. And 3, even the upper-end savings estimate isn't worth worrying about. First, I disagree with the status quo argument. There is no blanket internal status quo upon which to build an argument for all our employees. While DPW employees did previously operate with a half-time overtime premium in excess of 12 hours, all other employee groups within the city, both represented and non-represented, earned 1.5 time overtime pay outside of holidays and Sundays. The recommendation to go to double time overtime pay for more than 12 hours of work would now bring all non-represented employees to a new half-time overtime pay premium, an expansion of benefits. When our Human Resources Department polled 64 other communities around the state, they found that only Madison provides this premium for all its employee groups. South Milwaukee provides it to their DPW employees only. None of the other 97% of communities polled provide this premium pay to their DPW employees or other employees. Based on these facts, it's clear to see that 1.5 time overtime pay is not only the federal wage standard, but the regional wage standard for public employees. In fact, it is the prevailing wage standard in both the public and the private sector. Next, an argument was made that service will suffer. The argument was made by those in favor of expanding benefits was that our streets would not be clear during snow events and that we would need to provide a half-time overtime pay premium to keep employees interested in working past 12 hours. In my opinion, the argument is short-sighted, as 1.5 time overtime pay is still an incentive. Think about it. Is it in the best interest of an employee's bottom line to give up his 1.5 time overtime pay because they aren't making the other the other half-time overtime premium? The argument then changed, and it was argued that employees who are fatigued will go home at 12 hours of work if we only provide the prevailing 1.5 time premium overtime standard. The argument was that we need to provide the half-time overtime premium to keep them working. And I have to ask, is the argument then that we should be incentivizing fatigue plowing operations that put our drivers at risk, that put the public at large at risk, and put public and private property at risk? We should not be incentivizing fatigue driving with a half-time overtime premium, a half-unit overtime premium. If anything, we should encourage our department heads and employees to restructure their policies and operations to discourage fatigue driving. Third, there was an argument that the estimated cost savings isn't worth worrying about. It's important to remember that the 18,000 to 28,000 figure is an estimate for DPW employees only and does not include all non-represented employees who would now earn this premium. And while I agree that $28,000 is a relatively small savings, I subscribe to the thoughts of former Illinois Senator Dirksen, who said, "$1 million here, $1 million there, and pretty soon you're talking real money." On the municipal level, $28,000 here, $28,000 there, and pretty soon we're talking real spending. I need to be clear so as to not be mistaken that I am not on a crusade to harm our employees. Specifically to our DPW employees, I am highly appreciative of the work you perform in maintaining all aspects of our infrastructure. From garbage collection to snow removal to maintaining our utilities, you are very dedicated and hardworking men and women. I agree with those who state that you can set your clock by the time that the garbage collector comes around. I also need our DPW employees and all our employees to understand that 1.5 time overtime pay is the prevailing federal and regional wage standard. For your safety, for the safety of the public at large, and for the preservation of public and private property, we cannot incentivize fatigue driving with a half-time overtime premium. We as a community must strive to be a competitive place for people and businesses to call home. We have a duty as a city government to provide safe and efficient services in practical and cost-efficient ways. And while I support double-time overtime pay for holidays and Sundays, based on the facts presented, I do not support a half-time overtime pay premium for the remaining 300 days of the year. For these reasons, Mayor Devine, I'll be voting against the item as it has been presented to us this evening. Thank you, Mayor Devine.
Thank you, Alderman.
Mayor Devine, our transition team certainly should be commended for the hours that they expended. Staff really just did an incredible job in terms of preparing the recommendations for the Public Administration Committee to review. We had very healthy discussions over many, many items, most of which involve public works, continuation of the services which our community is entitled to. I respect all of May's comments, but I think for the most part, the preponderance of the committee, the majority of the members felt that the incentive for additional pay for the continuation of service for drivers who may be driving trucks, both for the refuse and also for plowing snows. This was a very extenuating circumstances, which happens infrequently. But based upon that, I believe that was the main reason why the committee felt that we had to further provide financial benefits to the drivers.
Thank you, Alderman.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Vitale.
I was not going to say anything, but my mouth tells me that I have to talk. So my concern really is, for what I heard tonight, that, after the 12 hours, again, and it's been a practice. The guys go out and work behind that truck, the plow, for 12 hours. But the fact stands, I understand after certain hours, then the guys can go and takes probably half-hour cat naps, and so on. So, but the fact stands that somewhat we do, it probably is not proper to talk about tonight, but I'll say it anyway. Maybe we should kind of, in the future, Public Works should kind of look in regard to, if we have 100 CDL drivers, perhaps maybe we should have inter-trained programs to teach all the drivers. They have a CDL. And I think as a city government, I believe we can implement some type of program to teach all the 100 employees that they have that license. To me, that would be a part of the project that could be moved forward. And then we'll eliminate some of the discussions about the overlap or the premium pay. I think it would be something that we could give maybe the employee in the long run would be benefit. They can work 12 hours, then they can go home, then we can have the other group come in at 12 hours to follow through. To me, there would be a proper program that maybe Public Works, they can hear tonight about it, maybe it's something that we should look forward to implement within our community. I mean, to me, that's some of the problem we eliminate with violating the driving time after the 12 hours. To me, within a state ruling or federal laws, you cannot be on the road for 12 hours driving. You can't. But we've been doing that. After 12 hours, have somebody on the road. So we've been experiencing some of the crashes or problems that we've been sued for in the past. So I don't know if the guys was driving 10 hours or 8 hours or 12 hours, but it's been happened since I've been an alderman, so it's been cost the city of West Allis money. So maybe it's time that we look in. That's why we have a structure here. Maybe it's something that we have to maybe come up with different approaches, to make the workers safe and to be effective and to be cost effective just as well, and to maintain the amount of employees that we have. To me, that's a proper step to take, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other discussion?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman May.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the original motion to keep double time pay for holidays and for Sundays, and to instead change it so all other days of the week could be 1.5 time overtime pay.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Rote. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson May.
Aye.
Probst.
No.
Reinke.
No.
Rote.
Aye.
Sengstack.
No.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Barzak.
No.
Chaplesky.
Aye.
Lysick.
No.
5 in favor, 5 opposed.
Okay. I would like to start by, unfortunately, belaboring this a little bit. But as I was looking at this today and realizing that it was a very divisive issue, it raised a lot more questions than I think answers. And for starters, we are talking about a 12-hour shift and beyond, and what came out of the Administration and Finance Committee claimed
Mayor
that...
Devine,
I'm
Mayor
sorry?
Devine, point of order. The discussion is over. I think if you wish to speak on this matter, you have to relinquish your chair I believe, I don't know if the city attorney's here, but
I think you're right.
the discussion on the matter is over.
I think you're right. Okay, I'm sorry, can I just get clarity then on what is before us? The motion is?
The motion is, if it's all right if I reread it, Clerk, would be for double time pay on holidays and vacations. Holidays and Sundays, and time and a half for all other overtime.
Okay. All right, the mayor votes aye. Motion carries.
6 in favor, 5 opposed.
Motion carries. Now that item is before us?
As amended.
As amended.
With the communication of the transition recommendation as amended, with that amendment.
Correct. Okay. On that, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
What are we voting on? Alderperson May.
Aye.
Altogether with the amendment.
Probst.
I don't know what's before us. Could we go back?
As amended.
I apologize.
As
The transition, the whole report.
The whole report.
With that one amendment.
With the amendment.
Right.
No.
Reinke.
No.
Rote.
Aye.
Sengstack.
No.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Barzak.
No.
Chapletsky.
Aye.
Lysick.
No.
5 in favor, 5 opposed.
Mayor votes aye.
6 in favor, 5 opposed.
Motion carries.
That's all, Mayor Devine.
All right, thank you, Alderman.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
I move that the council stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meeting.
Second.
It's a motion with a second by Alderman Reinke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We are in recess.